Hey, this is Keith at Half Tracks and Honeybees. Hope y'all are doing well today. It's a beautiful day here in eastern foothills of North Carolina. It's about 70 degrees, 75, something like that, low humidity. Supposed to be back in the 90s next week, so we'll enjoy it while we can. But today I just kind of wanted to walk around and ramble about what's went on in my apiary this year, what's worked for me, maybe what's not worked, what I got planned for next year, and just kind of talk to myself for a little bit, I reckon. So it's been a really good year. Gosh, I put my supers on back in early March, and I guess I pulled honey in April, May, June, July, maybe a couple of times in July. I pulled 5 times so far. We've got about 120 gallons and about 1,500 pounds. That's off of basically 12 production hives. It changed around a little bit. I did have a couple of my production hives swarm this year, but compared to last year, I think last year I had 8 production hives and probably 6 of them swarmed. So I think I had a lot better control of the swarming issue this year. We'll talk about that in a bit. But anyway, we've had a really good year. So I just kind of want to talk about what I've done, how I do it, and in the immortal words of Mike Berry, this is what I do, not what you should do. So I guess that's paraphrasing him just a little bit, but that's okay. Anyway, you can see the hives over here. A few of them I've put supers back on. The crazy bees, they really didn't pay much attention to the dearth this year. They just went on about their business, and they're still bringing in pollen and nectar from somewhere. Not really sure where they're getting it from. Few, I guess the crepe myrtles are blooming right now. I think maybe the drought we had stunted the soybeans for a bit, and then when Tropical Storm Debbie came through, all that water, it might have turned all the soybeans loose at once, and maybe that's what they're on. I'm not really sure. But I put the supers on, and we're going to try to catch a little bit of it. But we'll walk up here towards the what I call the nursery. But yeah, we had a really good year honey wise. I've spent a lot of days at the farmers market trying to sell all of it. Sold several gallons to a mead brewer up in the mountains, and he did some amazing stuff with it, and the mead is selling really good. It's called a Half Track 50 caliber. That's kind of a cool name. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think the biggest thing I did this year to help my honey production was to keep my hives from swarming. I walked that fine line between swarm and gone. I did a lot of work. Greg Roberts up in the western part of North Carolina, a good fella. He's got some good videos on Bob Benny's channel about what he does to keep swarming down. And one of the big things he does is he separates the brood. He said to go in, check your brood often. Every time you get some slabs of brood, separate it and put some drawn comb in the middle. He said to always take, if you had 4 slabs of brood, separate them 2 and 2 and put the drawn comb in the middle. I actually went a little bit further. Anytime I found 2 slabs of brood together, I separated them and stuck a drawn comb in between them. I went in my hives probably twice a week in the spring. I'm talking March and April, and I split the brood up every chance I could. I don't know that that's recommended, but it worked for me. I ended up with some really strong hives that had multiple supers on them, and I had to pull so many times because I didn't have enough supers to be able to pull some off and put some on. I had to pull off about half of them, extract them right quick, get those back on, pull off the rest and extract those and get them back on. I always do put my wet supers back on and let them clean them out when they come off of my hives. Seems to work out good, but and they don't tear up the combs so bad. I recently put a few out I'd got from a friend who had recently extracted, and I put them on the back of my truck and let them rob them out, and it worked really good. It made a good video. I had lots of bees, but But man, there was a lot of wax left in the bottom of my truck bed where they tore up the wax. They don't do that when you put them back on and let them repair and clean out the supers. So that's my main way of doing that. So you can see I've got this big field here. It's just full of goldenrod, and it's on the edge of blooming, but it's not blooming yet. So that's not what the bees are going after. We're up here at the what I used to call the nursery, because it had a lot of small hives, but most of the nursery is grown up now, and you can see a lot of supers on these hives too. So and the bees are going at it just like they were down at the shop. So the ladies are having a good time, man. It looks like spring out here. But another thing I want to talk about was queens. One of my goals for beekeeping is not to buy any bees, and that includes queens. Now, I consider my hives, y'all know I like to mess with old vehicles and hot rods, and hot rods, you know, you have to kind of decide where you're going to stop at. I mean, you can go all the way from putting a dual exhaust on a car to putting the engine in it like a top fuel dragster has. It'll go really fast, get really bad gas mileage, and cost a lot of money, but it'll make a lot of power. So to me, queens are kind of like that too. All of my queens I've made with walk-away splits. The past few years, I've gone from 1 to 2 to 4 to 9 to 17, and right now I have 25. So that's kind of been my steps that I've taken in growing my hives. Now, obviously, if I wanted to take this 25 to 50 or 60 or 75, I couldn't do that with walk-away splits. I would have to buy queens. And the queens available today, you know, they're where I said maybe my hives are just a good old solid Ford, maybe a Ford LTD for you old timers. You know, some of these new queens, they might make my hives a Porsche or maybe a Ferrari or a Corvette. You know, instead of 120 pounds of, or 120 gallons of honey, maybe I could have made 150, 160 gallons of honey. I don't know. But for my purposes, the walk-away splits have served me well. I've got a real good success rate, and I do them a lot like you would when you're trying to grow queen cells in a hive. I make sure and shake in lots of extra bees. I make sure the hive's got good nutrition. And once I button it up, I don't go back in it for 30 days. I might take the top off if I've got a pollen patty or something in there, maybe feed them a little bit, but I do not pull frames out for 30 days. So that has worked really good for me. I run a pretty high percentage of success on that, and my queens have done well. I don't mark my queens, so I can't really tell when they come and go. But I think the proof is in the pudding. You need to keep it simple. You need to have 1 or 2 hives, 2 preferably, and learn how to get them through the winter. Good nutrition, strong bees, keep the mites down, learn how to deal with that, and grow from there. Yeah, just looking at the bees here coming and going. Let's see what else. Maybe if you follow my channel too, you know I use all mediums. I usually count 3 mediums as my brood chamber. That's about the same size as a double deep. Usually put a queen excluder and the supers on top of that. If it's a really strong hive, I might go 4 high before I put the queen excluder on. As far as queen excluders, this year was the first year I've used those. I had a lot of trouble early in the spring. My colonies were growing so fast. Every time I put a super on, the queen filled them up with brood, and that's not a good thing. They were messing up all my good comb. So I went ahead and bought a bunch of queen excluders, and man, they did really good this year. I didn't have any trouble. The bees going through the excluders to get to drawn comb. It was like they weren't even there. So I'm really happy with that. And then when it came to extraction, I didn't have to worry about, usually I'm having to go through and I find frames of brood that I missed when I was pulling the supers. And then having to deal with that, which it wasn't that big a deal. But man, with the excluders on, you just roll. You don't have to worry about that part of it. So queen excluders, I'm good with that. No problem at all. The metal ones versus the plastic ones. The most honey I got off of any hive was on the 1 8-frame hive that I've got. I probably got 150 pounds of honey off of that one hive. So and it ran a plastic excluder. It was the only plastic excluder I had, and it was on the strongest hive. So can't really say anything bad about plastic. They worked right through it and didn't have any trouble. Well, let's talk about mite control a little bit and what I do on that side. Let's take a little side trip first. Those of y'all that follow my channel, you know I use screen bottom boards with pull-out IPM boards. You know, that corrugated plastic stuff like the political signs are made out of. Which, if you do that, you need to get to be buddies with your one of your local political guys that puts out a lot of signs. I'm friends with a guy up at the GOP, and he lets me have all of the leftover signs for free, and that's a great source of that corrugated plastic material. But anyway, yeah, I use screen bottoms, and I also use screen inner covers. That's kind of unusual. A lot of people don't use screen inner covers. I love them. Gives my bees plenty of ventilation in the summertime on these Carolina hot, humid days. Bees seem to like it, have very little bearding, and I can peep inside pull up the cover and see what's going on with having to worry about the bees coming out. So they've got a lot of good points to it. But I do use the screen bottom boards, and that's part of my mite treatments. I just take and after I do my OA treatments, and I usually do about 5 rounds, 3 to 4 days apart. I do a mite count 24 hours after the treatment to see what the drop is, and you can immediately tell which hives might have a problem, which hives are good. I mean, if you do an OA treatment and you don't drop but 10 mites, that hive's in pretty good shape. If you do an OA treatment and drop 100 mites, still not terrible. I mean, you're dropping 100 mites off of 30 or 40,000 bees. That's really a pretty low percentage. But still, I do that check after every OA treatment, and you can kind of see what's going on. Your numbers will drop by the end of it, and if they don't, you might need to do a wash. You get a better idea of what's going on in that hive, and if you do need to take any further action, maybe you need to do something stronger than OA. I've never had to resort to anything other than oxalic acid. It's worked well for me. So that's kind of how I handle mites. So let's see. So we talked about queens and mites and what kind of boxes I use. We can go in here and I'll show you a little bit of the stuff I've been up to. I've got a lot of boxes with paramoth on them, already stored for the winter. Turn some light on. Yeah, there's Bertha. You can say hello to Bertha. Hey, Bertha. But you can see I've got several stacks of supers with paramoth on them. Paper plates with just a little bit of paramoth. Well, this isn't really paramoth. That's the crystals you can get from Amazon. Same stuff. I think the little balls actually last longer than the crystals do. I have a lot of trouble with the crystals, man. In the summer, they go away quick. And I got some more stacks over here. So I've got a lot of supers ready for next year. I just have to store them, make sure the moths don't get in them, and we'll be good to go in the spring. So I guess that's about all I wanted to ramble about right now. We'll be setting them up for winter here in just a little bit time-wise. It'll probably be October-ish when I'll set them up for winter. I'll change out the screen top cover or screen inner cover and put the solid board in with a hole in it so I can put a rapid round feeder or whatever I need to do. I'll have a Hive Alive fondant patty on every one of my hives for the winter. I'll have my feeder shim on top for my dead air space with the bubble wrap. The bubble wrap with the aluminum foil on it, the Reflectex, will be on the top side of the inner cover and the bottom side of the lid. I've had real good luck with that. I haven't lost a hive over the winter 3 or 4 years. So I'm gonna keep doing exactly what I've been doing on that. But my hives are heavy right now. They're heavy enough to go through the winter. I left enough honey on them, but now that we got another flow going, the goldenrod and the asters hadn't even done anything yet. So we might have to pull honey again going into fall, but I'll still leave them plenty heavy. I'd really rather not feed. Feeding I didn't mind when I had 5 or 10, maybe 15, but when you start feeding 25, to me that's kind of a pain. You know, the commercial guys, I know a lot of them feed hundreds, but I'm not commercial, and I'm retired now. I just do not work that hard. Beekeeping's hard enough when you do it the easy way, right? So anyway, well, I guess I'm about through rambling now. That's kind of how my year's been, what we've done, where we're at. Next year, I'm sure I'll have some more hives between swarms and splits. We might hit 30, 35, but hopefully some of my business doings that I've been working on this year will work out going into next year, and I'll have plenty of places I can sell that honey. So if I can ensure that, then I'll probably make quite a bit more honey and maybe not worry about selling as many hives. So we'll see how that works. It's all adjustable. This is just, you know, this is a hobby for me. You know, the commercial guys, the sideliners, you know, a lot of folks, you know, they're depending more on their livelihood from their bees than some of us backyard guys, and I hate to say hobbyist, but we're not in it for the money. But it is the only hobby I ever had that wasn't just a black hole that I threw money into. So that's kind of nice. But anyway, I'll shut up, quit rambling. Hope y'all maybe got something out of this that might help you a little bit. Like I said, this isn't how you need to do it, but this is how it works for me, and I'm really not going to change anything. I'm pretty tickled with how things are working now. It's simple, and I like simple. My life's been complicated in working in industrial maintenance for 40 years. Simple is good. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my wackiness, and please make sure you always take time to enjoy the buzz. Y'all take care. See you later.